Supporting all 32 counties, Allianz.
Hello and welcome to week 2 of Allianz Leagues Reloaded here on Air Sport and Facebook Live. Coming up in tonight's show, we will be reviewing the weekend's hurling football action on Air Sport. We will hear from the Donegal football camp and we will have the latest instalments of the Who Am I Challenge, and my co-presenter Anna Geardy is still with us.
I'm still here.
And for any new viewers this week, you do not have to vote to keep her on this show.
Yes, you do, please.
And then never.
Okay, we're just going to
I never want to miss an opportunity. She just passed me this one this week, so are you happy now?
Oh, great, thanks.
Okay.
You're back in my good book. Yes, it's going to be a packed hour. Later on the show, Davy Fitz and Alan Kerner will be joining us on the line. And also with us in the studio for the evening are Kilkenny's 8-time All-Ireland winner Michael Fennelly and Waterford's 3-time All-Star Ken McGrath. And of course, we want you to get involved in tonight's show and send in some questions for the lads. So you can comment on Facebook under the live link, or you can tweet us at Air Sport or use the hashtag Allianz Leagues Reloaded. We'll be putting your questions to the guys in part 3, so make sure you get them in.
So, Michael, you're the one that's sitting here. I know you ruptured your Achilles tendon there recently enough, but yeah, it's a retirement. You know, it's a difficult one to take. It makes it a bit easier with all them All-Ireland medals in your back pocket, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things that I was always wondering is, you know, you obviously have talked openly about all your injuries, but what made this year the year that you'd say no? Like, why was it?
Yeah, I suppose, you know, I've always worried about maybe retiring, to be honest, you know, going back into the whole, you know, the whole social scene, even because you're tied up in that bubble with all the players, and you're, you know, every week and every day you're looking at the next session and, you know, nutrition and sleep and everything else with it, and your injuries. So you're always mentally switched on. And I did actually fear going back into the whole social side of things. But I think, just I suppose for me, it was after the Waterford game there, just in the summer, in around the start of July. I came off that field with 3 injuries after, like, I could barely walk.
Yeah.
I had a knee problem with cartilage. I had a huge blister on my foot. I had to get removed the following day, and I had something else wrong with my hamstring. Came off a hamstring strain that day, so I just said,
nothing left.
Yeah.
I just
What
said
else
this.
could go?
I couldn't walk. I actually couldn't walk. I was going for a few drinks. I said I can't walk. I couldn't go down. And so yeah, that kind of opened my eyes, to be honest. I said, look, this is not good. And then ended up then with another knee problem in the club later on in September, just 2 or 3 months later. And again, I was just going through pain.
That'd be so hard, though.
No, it was. Yeah, but it was hard. But at the same time, I've had 12 years. I've had 8 All-Ireland finals. I've had some great days. And I actually was back in the camp. I was back in November, and I was doing gym work and getting myself back together. But my gut was telling me, am I really up for this? You know, can I actually get through all these injuries and get back to the highs I want to get back to? I was only on the honeymoon, and actually when I had a bit of chance to think about myself, I said, God, I
and your wife, obviously. If you're on the honeymoon, you want to be thinking about her as well.
She was there, yeah. But yeah,
I believe there was a quote now. There was a quote that came out that you were looking forward to spending a bit of time with your wife. I know you're newly married, so as this is here, lastly, I'm looking forward to spending some spare time with my new wife, Leslie, as the next chapter of our lives. Do you have to get written requests to come on here? Because I know my wife just checks the screen to make sure I'm actually here.
Ken, I actually heard as well when you were coming up tonight, you had to get permission from the better half to make sure it was okay.
Yeah, well, she's another dancing teacher, Anna, so I'd be tied up mind the little one, so I said, look, I'm okay to go. She gave me the permission, so it's spun up the road.
And what about you? Do you have permission to be here?
Yeah, well, yeah, I think so.
We're live,
we're live.
Really
we actually are live. I promise this is not a pre-record from last night. We are live. No, so we are, yeah. You're okay, Anna.
Yeah, no, I'm all right. Kev, hi.
Yeah, so well, let's get a reminder of what happened on Saturday night in front of the Air Sport cameras in Thurles, with Tip and Waterford chasing their first Allianz League points of the 2018 campaign.
Semple Stadium, the venue for the clash of Tip and Waterford, 2 counties hoping that perhaps tonight will kick-start their year.
Obviously, the Tipperary feeling is we need to get 2 points on the board and get a win up.
We're both scrambling for a start in the league, and neither of us want to enter into match day 3 with no points.
They've such a big panel. They can afford to go on and give a good rattle at this league and still be fresh for the championship.
Last week we probably had a more regular team out, and this week we just felt the only opportunity to see whether they're up to it or not, but to give them actually a chance to kind of compete at this level is to, you know, give them plenty of notice. So we've gone with 11 changes tonight.
Derek really, his priority this year, is trying to extend or expand that panel and identify, maybe 2 or 3 more guys who he knows then that can come into the heat of championship battle.
It is important as well that they start picking up a few wins, because that'll breed confidence going into the first round of the championship.
These 2 teams have had brilliant games in the past, and tonight is some game for the first week in February. Austin Gleeson from his own half of the park. That's what Austin Gleeson can do.
I think you could see Waterford growing into the match.
There's only 1 between them at half-time here in Semple Stadium.
Could have arguably been 4 or 5 points up at half-time.
Yeah, they're on their toes at the minute, and they're back in front Tipperary. A chance here now for Waterford. Oh, what a finish! What a finish, and what a move by Waterford.
Once Tip clicked into gear in terms of their more experienced players in the second half, they seemed to drive on from there,
Oh, chance Tipperary. Oh, that's a penalty. Has to be a penalty. Oh, what a finish. What a finish.
Tip just drove on after that.
Oh, what another brilliant save in the Waterford goal by Stephen O'Keefe.
We look for a significant improvement in the second half from the lads, and in fairness, they gave it to us.
You'd have to say whatever was said in that dressing room, they really upped their game in the second half. I think he'll be very happy tonight that they've learned a nice bit from the 270 minutes so far.
Fantastic night for Tipperary. Great win.
So everybody loves seeing these 2 teams come together and play any time of the year. But like Ken, I suppose really the difference was Tipperary in the last 15 minutes really stood up and pulled away. They are very evident leaders, and they took more direct scores.
Yeah, I suppose their experience told a bit, I think, the second half, and there was a bit of a breeze there as well, and I think that was a factor in the second half, playing into the score and goal. And they got a bit of a run and a couple of points, and Ronan Marr some fantastic long-range striking. Nolan McGrath took off, especially when Austin Gleeson went off, I think, the 51st minute. And they were on a roll at that stage anyway, and I think they drove it home. And as we were saying early on, it's when you have a team who, Waterford lads, 9-10 lads, to make their breakthrough, get onto an established team, when things go against you, it's hard to kind of pull it back. And I think that's what happened in the second half. And the more experienced Tipperary team drove it on, and it was comfortable enough in the end, and 120 to 111, and they were well-deserved winners, in all fairness.
Yeah, and I think I was in the studio where Brian on Saturday as well. Brian Hogan was here with Owen Kelly, and I think the real turning point getting from them was in the midway through the second half. Michael, Tipperary looked like they were after being drawn in by Waterford. They got the goal, and Tipperary got down nearly in the next play, got a goal, and then it was game over. But for you, the overall, were you impressed with just Tipperary's play in terms of early on the season?
Yeah, I suppose it is very early. It's only 4th of February, and it was 3 degrees that Saturday evening as well. So, conditions were tough out there, and there was a lot of wides on both sides. I think Tipperary were a bit sluggish to coming into the game. It took them a while to get going, and I think Waterford looked more impressive in the first half and probably had a lot of wides that they should have scored. There were definitely good opportunities, but that's tip for you. If you give them a sniff at all, they can bury you, and 3 or 4 players can stand up as well in that team and throw over scores at vital times. And I think maybe going into just right before half time, they got 2 or 3 points quickly and narrowed Waterford's lead to maybe a point. I think
vital, actually.
It was vital, and I think Tipperary got a good start again and just kind of nearly drove on from there. And definitely Austin going off definitely was a big loss.
It unsettled him. He was hurling very well, and he looked settled back there, and he was dictating a lot of the play, how we were playing.
Yeah, well, actually, went off. In fairness, talking about Austin, because he did play that more conventional centre-back role, like the flashes of brilliance that we see from Austin. I mean, he has a magic touch and he is a leader, and I suppose that counteracts sometimes with his misuse of the ball. I mean, he's your own club man. I mean,
look, that's his best place. That's his more natural position, I think. As every performance, every time he's on the pitch, he's been watched now, and I suppose the whole country are talking about him, and that's hard. And everything he does is probably highlighted even more. But I think he plays that centre back perfectly, and he got a great point there to Michael Carney. I think 70-80 yard pass it was, and that's what natural centre backs can do. They can avoid a lot of congestion in the middle, and when he plays like that, he offers Waterford something different. And I think we need to find a settled position for him. It's tough. He's been put centre forward, a free man centre back, and I think centre back really does suit him. He'll go forward, he'll score. Now he'll have to learn probably the centre back of holding tight at times and getting tight on the marker. But that takes time, and he's only 23. He's a fantastic player.
Though,
if he plays there and is left in, I think, in the half back line, which I don't know whether he will or not, I think he'll see an unbelievable.
Would you agree, Michael? Is that going to be his best position, or is he still too young for there?
I don't know. No, he's definitely not too young. He's definitely well able to play there. Like Austin, his last 2 years, he's been very impressive. And he's huge talent, and he does something very special in nearly most games. But then he does things, and I suppose not so well, and that's maybe some casualness at times. And if you're centre back, I played there a bit in my club, and I played there when I was younger. Ken obviously played there. Centre back to centre forward is a different place. You have to kill the ball back there. You can't be. We saw a clip there flicking the ball, running out, went to I think maybe Breen over the bar. And even Austin loves to drive forward, and again I'd be similar to drive forward, create an overlap. And at times he might go too far with it, and then if he gets hit and knocked or he loses the ball, it can open up the whole centre position. So there's learnings there. He's very, very young, still very young. But I would like maybe in around the area and maybe midfield. He's a roaming fella. He likes to roam. Centre, depends on what way Waterford are going to line out. If they line out with Ty de Burke playing a sweeper role, and you've Austin who's quite loose, I don't know. I don't think that'll work either, to be honest. So
and he does love that freedom.
Well, most centre backs, your probably natural instinct is to nearly sweep. When I play centre back, I done a lot of sweeping, and that's your kind of natural to sit back a small bit. But like Senan McGrath, you can't give him an inch. If you give him a metre in front of you, he's so neat and so compact in his style and play. He'd put a ball over your head over the bar. And that's like centre forwards are doing that. So you have to be very careful. But
there could be two different games going on. The centre back is going one way, and the centre forward is playing.
And that's what's happening a lot, even in modern day hurling as well. A back can hit 5 or 6 balls, the forward can get 3 or 4 points. Both of them are playing well, which is probably 7 or 8 years ago was different. You had to be a bit more tighter, but I think it does suit him. Even say the flashes that he does and the bits of different hurling, the bits of genius he does, I'd leave it off. I think that's what you want in the game as well.
And like Mick, even talking about Waterford and a wider perspective, I mean, do you think now that it's going to affect their momentum losing 2 from 2?
I don't think so. I think the way they're going into this year maybe is they look like they're 10 different players from the last game, which is a huge chunk, to be honest. And I think Ken mentioned it like that. You would like a few more mature players there to help bring them on and give them a chance. Because in the second half they did collapse maybe, and that was due to maybe some leadership. And that's a bit unfortunate. But I think they're looking at maybe blooding some more players, getting them more experience, and probably not too pushed on the league. Years back, for me, the league was you can't go to 1B. You can't do it. Like everyone's fear of it.
And the winners are coming from there now.
Completely. Waterford came from there. Galway came from there. And now even in Kilkenny, I think, and even my own personal opinion is, like, it's not the end of the world if you lose these games. Let's try and find some players, because we have a block of games coming up in May and June, and you gotta
421 days down here.
But even if you look at Waterford, it was clear they were trying something, particularly in the first half, Ken, because they seemed to run a lot more at Tipperary.
Yeah, the first half they played very well, and at half time I was sitting next to my father. We were saying we were very happy the way they played. It was pushing that tape and a lot of movement, running off the markers, running off the players, and supporting well. And you see DJ Foran here with a great score, who's flying with in the Fitzgibbon. The problem was probably, and this is what I was talking to Michael off air, 9 or 10 of these lads are trying to make the breakthrough. You'd rather if it was probably 5 or 6 mixed in with 9 or 10 regulars. Instead on Saturday it was the opposite way. And I said when things went slightly wrong, who was going to there to stand up? There was at times from midfield on the forward line there was no regular starting. And then when things go against you, you're saying who's going to stand up here? And the younger lads mightn't take it on board, they mightn't be able to take it on board yet. I think that's what kind of happened. I'd like to see maybe a more of a mixture in these games. I think, look, it's the 7th of February now. That was the 4th of February. I used to have a stone of weight on me in February trying to get fit.
You'd winter well.
So there's no one. You can't be under too much pressure yet.
True.
Now, we made a few strange decisions, like not putting on any sub against Wexford, probably telling the media we picked the Tipperary game before the Wexford game, and that kind of stuff is slightly strange. But look, I wouldn't be worried about Waterford in general. I think in the summer we'll be there, definitely thereabouts, and it's so early. We only have to just keep going at it,
Well, we had other games, of course, and we have Davy Fitz on the line. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us, Davy. We'll dive straight in. 2 wins from 2 and now joint top of the league. Is this exactly as you had planned it to go when you were preparing throughout the winter?
Listen, naturally you wanted to get a good start.
Yeah.
That was important. But to be honest, I'm probably a small bit surprised. We're not as fit as we probably should be. I started back 3 weeks later than last year. Wouldn't have the amount of games played that I played last year. So I'm pleasantly surprised, because I know we can get a lot fitter than what we are. So listen, I'll just take every result and I'll be happy with it,
Absolutely. You put in a great performance at the weekend, even if it was against my own Cork. But you did say after the weekend's game that a winning habit is not a bad habit. So do you think now that the break will impact on your momentum?
Well, I don't know. Listen, at the start of the league, I think we were odds on to go down. A few of the lads were saying to me that the bookies had us odds on to be relegated. But you know what? We've 2 wins, and if we can get 1 more win, we'll be safe. So we've 3 games to do that. We're coming right up against probably Tip are starting to find a bit of form, so that'll be a tough one the next day. But I'm happy. Listen, once the lads are gone out there and they're competitive, I'm happy out.
Yeah, and I suppose the Wexford crowd are as well, because they're coming out in big numbers to support. 8,000 at the weekend's game. Like, how do you manage that increased hype then around the team?
Listen, that's handy enough, Anna. They spent long enough there where there wasn't anything near that, you know. So you got to enjoy these things. Like, you take it in and enjoy it, but you know what the story is. At the end of the day, we have to perform. But why not perform in front of 8,000 rather than 2,000, you know?
Yeah, it's a really good way of looking at it.
You're here to enjoy your hurling and go out, and the more people are there and you get to express yourself, the better. So that isn't a problem. We just have to be ready to go any day we go out, where we just give it everything 110% all the time. That's important.
Yeah, well, there's nothing less from you anyway, Davy. Thanks very much for taking the time to talk to us. You're very good.
Talk to you later. Take
Bye,
care.
Davy. Bye.
Bye.
Things going well for Wexford. They can, 2 from 2, top of the league.
They're moving well. I was at the Waterford-Wexford game in Wedge Park, and I was very impressed. Their fitness levels are very high, and the way they play a nice attractive style against Waterford, and big scores. I watched them closely last year. They needed to develop on the sweeper system. I think they have already. And look, they're in a different place than maybe Waterford, Tip. They probably have to try and build on momentum from last year, and they're right too. It's a separate competition again, and they're right to go at the league. Where Waterford probably in a different place, where look, it's all about championship, right? Now, Wexford will obviously go at the championship hard as well. But right now, they should build on what they done last year, and they are. Good score down against Cork as well, and looked very comfortable. By all accounts, it could have been a 10-11 point victory. But look, 8,000 people the very first week of February.
Not too bad. You take that.
They're brilliant supporters. They're brilliant. They're mad. Like Waterford people, they're mad for success as well, which is that's what you want.
Of course it is. And of course, Mike, we have to go to you as well with Kilkenny and Clare. A lot of the former Kilkenny players now seem to say that, Brian is happy enough with the performance. But in all honesty, because, Kilkenny breeds winners. Are they happy with losing 2 games?
The supporters mightn't be happy, I'd say, but for me, I'm actually happy enough, funny enough as well, because they're competing well.
Okay.
So I'm in 2 or 3 points in both games, I think, from the Cork game and from the Clare game. So they're trying hard. They're looking at different players as well, which is important, because they're missing some of the key players, especially in the centre, down the centre of the field. So that's important. So no, they're doing okay. They're trying hard, and their attitude is right. They're being competitive, and they're playing to the 70th minute. And that Clare game the weekend, like at half time, it looked scary. I think it was 8 points in the difference.
Yeah.
And I actually said to myself, Clare could be contenders later on in the year for the All-Ireland, because they've the experience of those players, probably 5, 6, 7 years, who've been playing on that day actually last Sunday. So it was a huge advantage they had over our lads. But in the second half, they tend to fade away, and maybe leaders maybe want stepping up when they need to, and maybe that's something I think Clare may have to look at. Like Peter Duggan is playing definitely a lot better now the last year too. He's a big, tall, full forward, and he's 2 Donald and Podge Collins beside him. But in the second half, there's a huge drought of ball going into them, and whereas the first half it was just pouring in. So you question what was going on there, or what was and sometimes if you're ahead by that much, 5, 6, 7 points, lads start shooting from other places, start getting a bit more confident, and our lads plugged back to the scores and did well, And
again, it is only February.
It is. Yeah, look, I'm not concerned about the results. Once they actually are competitive, playing well, we can build on that, I think.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. That's all for part 1. After the break, we'll be chatting in studio about living up to the hype.
Is he from Galway? Does he play in the forwards or the backs? Does he play forward? Is he a defender? Does he play in the half-back line? Is he from Munster? Is he from Tipperary? Is he from Cork? Is he from Limerick? Is he from Clare? Is he Shawnee McMahon? Is he Anthony Daly?
Very good. Always Colin Callan there. Okay, so we wanted to chat about hype and managing expectation and hype within a camp and within a county. So after Offaly's defeat to Limerick at the weekend, following on from their unexpected big win over Dublin, their manager Kevin Martin said...
Oh, he has the quote here.
I have the quote here, yeah. Do you like this? Yeah, this is well versed. People around the county were up on a high after last week, obviously referencing that Dublin win by 10 points. It does filter down to the players. It can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing. So managing hype, if I go to you first, Anna, with the Cork senior camogie team, you were going for 3 in a row twice, and it was Wexford that took that both times of it. And you were expected to win that 3 in a row on both occasions.
I feel
so
like
managing
now I'm like unveiling some sort of secrets. I'm like, oh, what was she going to say? But yeah, in 2007, I think that's the biggest one for us. So we had won in 5 and 6. We'd beaten Tipperary in both finals, and Wexford were kind of the coming team. And everyone's talking around 3 in a row because, you know, like that for anybody, it's such a big thing. And I think, in all honesty, when Wexford had come in under the radar and all the talk is about Cork, that it probably did get to us a little bit. And I think our team was quite young at the time as well. So I don't know if we managed that well. I mean, the managers did what they could, but you try to like externalise everything. But I think at times it does creep in, particularly that All-Ireland. I remember going, oh God.
Yeah, but you managed the first time because you didn't manage it the second time either.
Yeah, no, and that's the
same group of players.
All right, okay, rub it in. Okay, thanks for reminding me. But it is, I think, hype. Like Davy said, it can. If you use it the right way, it can be a good thing. But if you let it creep in,
Davy's there saying he'll embrace the hype. You can see he's so much energy coming off him in terms of hype.
You're going for a drive for 5. Did you find even now with Kilkenny that the hype played a part in it, or was it a pressure that you didn't need?
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I think you're going into it's business for me, I suppose. That's the way we looked at it, and that's the way I looked at it. But you can't. For me, you can't get into the hype of it because you get carried away. And if you get carried away, you get complacent, and you're thinking this will all happen. It'll be a great day for everyone. It's not a great day. You have to perform on the day first of all and do your job. So I think we managed that well over the years. Brian in particular will keep our feet firmly on the ground, and sometimes without us even knowing it, you could actually end up thinking about things and going through the motion. Next thing he might read a few of us and then have a few words with the whole team. Next thing you'd be straight back down thinking, oh my God, next training session I better start
pull up my socks.
Exactly, yeah. But for the 5, I actually just for some reason that came in my head there a few weeks back, and there's people, normally we sign hurls and we sign jerseys and bits and pieces, but just thinking back now, actually there was hurls there with 5 bots. And people wanted us to sign this before the even final. So even small things like that now, thinking back, subconsciously, it's sinking in. But we would have had a firm, resilient mindset, I think. But on the day itself, I think we were restricted in ourselves. We were afraid to make mistakes, and we kind of didn't want to make those runs, maybe to hold back and that. And we didn't express ourselves the way we should have had compared to other years, I think.
Yeah. And what about Dublin now? I mean, there's all this talk about Dublin and all the. I mean, even you when you were a player, I'm sure there was plenty of hype. There's always hype around Dublin teams.
It's very different now, and I suppose it depends on the manager. One of my first managers was Tommy Lyons, and he embraced the hype. It was all about bringing the media nearly into the changing room, and I suppose I'd been there under a manager before, and I would have been wary of what can happen because particularly in Dublin the media is there and they build you up and they'll knock you down as quick as they build you up, and I suppose everybody has experience of that as well. So that was something, and I love what Dublin actually do now is it's a process, and they can treat the media. The media's on their terms, and they embrace it in a lot of ways as well. We Dean Rock given a great interview last week on an alternative way. So it's different. I think Dublin treated differently, certainly the way we did, and we were always on a pedestal to be knocked off. And I'd love to hear your stories. Waterford getting to an All-Ireland final, first time after years and years. You've got a handle on Munster. And the hype must have just been through the roof when you got to that first All-Ireland final.
We were probably something like the Dublin team early on before they got the breakthrough.
Sorry, Ken,
getting the semi-finals and probably not performing, and year after year after year, and then finally getting to the final in 08. And the hype probably did overtake the whole county, and we didn't really know how to handle it. And I think it was Davy's first summer as well. He didn't know how to handle it either. And he learned from that. And I wouldn't say he ever made that mistake again when it came to really... I think we were drained going out on the pitch. The game was over before we even started the game because people got so caught up in the sideshow of it. Now, I've been involved in county finals with my own club, and I've seen the opposite of that when we were an experienced team and expected to win. And the games were over in the parade. We had the other team bet because they got caught up in everything. But that day, it's definitely a huge regret. We didn't deal with it right. And I was 30 years of age. It should have been able to deal with, but it didn't. It just took a world of its own, a life of its own for them 3-4 weeks. And
I found that
it was crazy. It was crazy. And yet, looking back, we were enjoying it. We thought we were experienced enough to hurl that day, but 15 minutes of the Ireland final, you wonder why you were bet, your legs were gone, your head was basically gone, and there's you can't...
But I find that even, I mean, no matter how, because you try and learn from it, but I think it doesn't matter what age you are. I think certain players... Some players can do an interview right before a game and won't bother them, and someone else then it can affect them.
The manager has embraced that and put it forward.
I think the key for that team, we were probably coming towards the end, was to get back to a final again fast, but we didn't. The following year, Kilkenny got semi-final again by 3 or 4 points. It was a tight enough game, but they needed to get back into it again, and know how to handle it, you know. And
so,
that was
referencing Owen, your brother. Yeah. So there was two of you coming from the one camp. So how, like, were you looking after a little brother there as well for a lot of bigger games?
I suppose I was a bit older than Owen, and it took us a while, and we made a breakthrough together in 02 for the first Munster Championship in nearly 40 years. And as we said, we had a handle on Munster, no problem. We loved it.
And you have to first, probably.
And it did, and that was a massive thing for us to get over that, because for years, look, the lads at Kilkenny, Cork, in Dublin, you wouldn't understand when you're coming from us to try and make the breakthrough. Yeah. And then we got a handle of it, and we thought we had a handle of Croke Park as well, but obviously the final. They put us that to bed, you know, and it's hard.
And that can happen. And to be fair, our boys just hit form that day. Like the players played out their skins.
They did. They're unbelievable.
And that 15, you know, that rarely happens. Like so, just everyone was really. We're going for 3 in a row actually as well, and a lot of the boys would have been beaten by Cork back in maybe 04, I think. So that was hurt, and they weren't going to let that mistake happen again, you know.
I remember saying after beating Tip that I can't wait for the few weeks. I couldn't wait for an open night. You're looking at training, you're looking at stuff on the news for years about that. So we thought we were embracing and enjoying it, but I think it was a bit much. No, I did a sports shop at the time, and it was crazy.
Yeah, so you didn't get a minute.
No, I didn't. And looking back, I'd probably just stayed away for a week or two, but that's your livelihood as well at the time. It had to be in there. That's the.
But is there truth in what Davy's saying though? But you do have to embrace, because you work so hard to get there, and like you said, you might never have a chance to be back there.
The enjoyment in playing hurling is to obviously train and win the games, and then enjoy it. That's what it's not. You're not doing it. You're not forced to do it. You're doing it because you've done it all your life growing up. You enjoy playing with the lads. You enjoy the big crowds. You enjoy it, and you have to embrace it. Like it's a fine line, I suppose, but you have to really try and
it's tough. It's a tough one to balance, definitely. Like and like, you know, some players will embrace it and enjoy it more, but you normally enjoy it if you're beating a team by 10 points and there's maybe 15 minutes left to go. You're happy days. We'll drive on into that. But, you know, it is business at the end of the day.
I remember doing a first Munster final, 2002, or second Munster final, and I done a thing with Tommy Dunn up in St. Stephen's Green here. It was, I think it was fan of the country or whatever. Best. And the two of us were chatting away, and we couldn't wait for the Munster final, you know. So it was mad, and it worked. I got man of the match in the Munster final that Sunday. So if you didn't play well, you'd be saying, "Why did I go up?"
I know.
That's on the train, you know. So it's like warm-ups, isn't it? Some warm-up or a great warm-up or a terrible warm-up.
You can talk all day about it, in fairness, but unfortunately, look. Remember, we want you to get in touch, and we are going to be putting your questions to Michael and Ken in the next part. So you can comment on the live Facebook stream, or you can get us on Twitter at @AirSport, #Allianz Leagues Reloaded. We'll be back to you shortly.
Just to get into our social media section. So the hot topic on Saturday night here in the studio and on social media was that Kerry Gold jersey, which I have to say the hurling lads weren't too fond of either. That's Michael Geaney wearing it there. And I believe Mark O'Shea was one guy who was doing his best to give it a little bit of a plug. If you just look at the very end of that there, jersey at Paul Galvin, jersey is pure class.
Oh, nice.
#back to gold. Now here's something. When we were doing the Dublin Football Championship, he arrived up in Paul Galvin gear, so that's obviously a little touch back, lads. There's your freebies. He's going to be on the show on Saturday night wearing a Paul Galvin slimline, everything. That's it. I don't know what you thought of the Kerry jersey there, but in terms of your favourite jersey, have you got on bar your own, of course, Michael, your own county?
That looks like a dirty yellow now, to be honest.
I know. It's like a bad fake tan.
It's like that.
Actually, the way down jersey is quite nice. I got one of them off Danny Hughes there years back. Nice black, jet black one. But over the years, I've seen, you see pictures of this, the new Limerick jersey, or whatever it may be, and normally there could be the smallest thing.
Oh yeah, there's a half stripe.
And I'm like, well, what's the new thing about? But it's a pity we actually. Kilkenny actually don't have an away jersey, and I think they should do something on that. A nice black one or something would be lovely.
That's true.
And so there should be a bit more in it. At least Paul obviously is thinking outside the box here with that.
So maybe now the next time we see a tweet,
giving it the promo.
It'll be thanks Mike Fennelly for designing the away Kilkenny jersey. I can see it now.
There's a little opening there. Ken?
Yeah, look, I think I always like the Kerry jersey.
The new one?
The new one, the home new one is lovely. That one is okay, but look, sir, Paul now knows more of a fashion than any, especially Seven Michael, I think. But there's always had a nice. Remember the old white jersey off they used to have was lovely as well, So Look, sorry.
They're nostalgic, though, aren't they?
Yeah, they're lovely.
The Barry T one for me with the quarters.
The lads are all so fit now, the tight fitted ones. It might have worked a few years ago now, but
it's gas to change. Oh yeah, it's like looking back a year, it's big baggy thing.
And Michael Everton was extra large. No matter what size you were, it was extra large. You took what you got.
You'd have a pair of shorts that size. You never look fit playing until the summer, you know. So
that's brilliant. Right, well, we'll go, as I said, it's the social media section, and this is what we have been texted or tweeted or WhatsApped in. So, Ken, we might go to your first your choice there.
Helmet or no helmet, what's that?
All right, we will find out. Owen there now, what does he say?
Oh, helmet or no helmet.
Right.
Did Michael ever think about playing with a helmet like Sergeant Ken McGrath?
Well, did you ever think about playing without a helmet?
Yeah, one time I was down Ballyhale as a young fella, just lads are training, I was playing with my friends, and one of them flicked the hurl, struck me in the tooth, chipped me tooth. Yeah. He looking at me, no, it looks fine. And I was there feeling, I was like, God, it feels a bit edgy there. And half me tooth gone. It's like, he doesn't even poking around, but no, I always had a helmet. I think once again in training, I forgot it or something broke, and I going in to hook someone or block someone, I was 10 yards away trying to do it, covering my face, so I'd be fearful now.
Did you ever worry about that? Was that on your mind?
No,
when you
I tell you, look, to be honest with me, I forgot it for, we played a challenge game when I was 16. I forgot, the helmet was on his last legs. I had it since I was 3 or 4. I forgot it for the challenge game. I played very well. We county final the following week. I said I'd leave it off. And we hammered Lismore in the county final.
Superstitious, so that's what actually happened.
But I was 19. I got my front teeth knocked out actually playing in Railway Cup. I was 19, so what more can happen then at that stage? So, I didn't worry then.
We might put our teeth on the table here and compare them. Because I got my front teeth knocked out playing hurling as well, and that was nearly the finish of me.
Oh, was that what it was?
That's what it was, yeah. But I think that iconic look, that was your look for me looking at water, that iconic look, you and no helmet.
I'd rather not have that
Let's
iconic look.
go with another question, so Mick, we'll let you choose this time.
PJ Burnout there.
Burnout, right, let's see. Senan, this applies to you clearly.
What was that?
Right, do you think there should be rules in place to protect young players who play inter-county and college sports teams from burning out? Good question.
Today.
Yeah, it's become more common. I think there's more communication now with management, with inter-county teams and Fitzgibbon teams and that. So that's definitely improving, but there's still definitely an issue. I saw maybe a tweet there last week from in the football. Is Clifford played 3 games in about 7 days maybe, and he was carrying potentially an injury.
Yes. And was taken off the other night, Michael.
And there's a problem there now, and that has to lie with the management in my eyes on both sides. So definitely, maybe a rule that if you're playing Fitzgibbon or if you're playing Sigerson, there has to be something there. There has to be maybe a 6-7 day gap.
Take the talent.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
And what about Ken?
Yeah, before the Fitzgibbon he had a separate identity. It was that part of the season where they were allowed to go at that and go at it hard. And we used to be training, and the Fitzgibbon lads were gone. That was a given every time. But now with the league on, it's kind of a bit all over the place. I don't know if the Fitzgibbon has maybe is lacking a bit of his luster now, because
diluted a bit.
You see 1 or 2 players not allowed to play, and I see 1 or 2 things on Twitter there that lads are on scholarships and they couldn't play, and that's getting a bit messy then, you know, and that's not fair on the young fella who wants to play with his mates in the college, you know, and it's but look, county managers are saying, I'm pulling you back here, this is more important.
It might be something we'll then have to look at.
Yeah, it's very congested now at the minute, you know, which is tough.
Well, thanks guys, as usual, there's all very interesting opinions there. So coming up in the final part of the show, we will turn our focus to football. So Senan and I will be over at the touchscreen. My first time, with some Kerry and Mayo analysis, and Alan Kernan will be joining us on the line to review. See you in a few.
Is he still playing? Does he play in Ulster? Does he play for Tyrone? Armagh? Down, Donegal. Is he forward? Has he played out the field as well? Yeah. Is he from Glenswilly? Michael Murphy.
Well done, Cillian O'Connor. Donegal take on Dublin under the Croke Park lights on Saturday night. We caught up with star forward Paddy McBrearty to get his thoughts on some new faces, some old faces, and a new manager, and see how they're all settling in.
He's brought a lot of experience. Obviously, Declan there, he won an All-Ireland as a player in 1992, and he's just he knows a lot of the lads there he worked with minor level and under 21 level in Donegal. They've had good success. So Declan's just brought his experience in as a player and as a manager, and I suppose it's been well documented. We've had a lot of young lads in the squad there, and the experience that Owen brings in. Liam McClune's back this year as well, and we've Nathan from Dublin as well coming up to us. So definitely a lot of experience there, and big lads as well. So we're going to need everyone we can get come championship time. We've Dublin here on a Saturday night, so for a lot of our younger lads, it's probably going to be their biggest test so far. So they're obviously going to be trying out a couple of their players as well who want to impress the management. So definitely it's going to be a big game for us, and hopefully we give the Dubs a good rattle.
Well, on Saturday night, the Air Sport cameras were also in Castlebar for coverage of Mayo and Kerry. Both sides had won in the opening round, but who could make it 2 from 2?
Well, we had an absolutely cracking start to the Allianz League last weekend, and we're here in Elvery's McHale Park.
Last year we would have lost 2 games here very disappointingly, not by big margins, but that's something that we're hoping that we can rectify tonight.
I think for me, Fernand O'Shea is going to be a big player for Kerry. I think he was very unfortunate last year not to see a bit of game time.
Well, it's a fixture that has rapidly become one of Gaelic football's most compelling rivalries. Clifford beats Cafferty in the air, he's in around the back. Clark to Mayo's rescue. Clear though only as far as the waiting Micheál Burns. This is Sean O'Shea, and he's just kicked his first point here this evening.
Finds themselves in a pocket of space, and it's never really in doubt.
So strong, so powerful. Diarmuid O'Connor! Goal for Mayo. It looks like David Clifford is going to have to leave the field. Taken inside. And there's a chance for Gainey, off balance, taken down, penalty. And Clark saves again. There was consternation in the Kerry backline. And that's how you take a penalty.
And if that first half went on for another couple of minutes, there was another goal in Mayo.
Crowley continues the run, he's in. Crowley shoots and scores. Hands with real purpose. And he made it look very easy. He's taken out on the edge of the square. Man who did it was Ronan Shanahan. It's going to be a free in for holding. It's a second yellow for Ronan Shanahan. That all adds up to a red. So the question now is, can the 14 men of Kerry hold on to what they have? It's Owen O'Donoghue in. Owen O'Donoghue shoots. It's blocked on the line. Worrying times for Stephen Rochford and his selector Peter Burke. Winners at home against Donegal last weekend, winners on the road tonight against Mayo, and they finish with 13 men, and they finish in front.
It's great to get 2 more points on the board, especially on the road in a tough place like this. But again, we've plenty to be working on for next weekend.
Now that was raw, uncompromising football on a heavy pitch is what I have to say. But Anna, if you can do a passe doble or a jive or something and come with me over here to the touch screen, we might look at this.
You have been preparing this all afternoon.
A little bit more
so
detail. Now you're not my dance partner. I'll just add. All right. So,
yeah, I suppose you were watching this Kerry Mayo game. What were your big takeaways now?
Well, there was a couple of features that stuck out for me, and in particular, Anna, it was Kerry's defensive setup, and I suppose with the 3 clips I'm going to show you here, I want people to keep in mind is that their ferocious tackling, their aggression in the tackle first of all, and Kerry went man-to-man in defence, and that's a complete change from the All-Ireland semi-final last year where their Paul Murphy went back through, and it sort of compromised their natural game. So just in terms of the clip I'm going to show you, there is pockets of space in front of their full back line, but look, again, if we just take on board here, if I can stop it and we highlight, look at the man-on-man defending. Okay, yard off, but still man-on-man. Every Kerry player is tracking a Mayo forward.
Yeah.
And that's, as I mentioned before, it's a sort of a U-turn from the All-Ireland semi-final last year. But Anna, when we play on this clip, look at the aggression in the tackle. This is Aidan O'Shea getting the ball here. Watch the aggression in the tackle from Brendan O'Sullivan, the midfielder. So O'Shea breaks the tackle. Everybody else in play is still in the tackle. Jason Foley, full back, unheralded, breaks from his man and a brilliant block. Now that, as I mentioned before, that was crucial all the way through. These are just 2 or 3 clips of the first half, and Kerry scored 10 points from play. Yeah. So we're only looking at their defensive setup. When we let this play on slowly, and we can stop it and just get a little look again. Okay, so there's a full back line, man on man. Okay, attacking the ball, front foot. The aggression in the tackle when the ball breaks, and in particular, and Anna, if I can just back reference here a little bit. The other
You can
players,
even see all the, like, they're all tracking
the
back.
other players to note, you said it, these are the ones that are important for me. They're tracking runners. So we can say about going man on man. The other key point is in the middle third of the pitch, you have to have guys who are tracking runners.
If the ball breaks,
all the defenders have to do is stop the play, break the momentum, and wait for the cavalry to arrive. And this is trust in defenders doing what defenders are meant to do, which is attack the ball, stop the forward, and then wait for the cavalry to arrive. And again, when we play that slip on, okay, Kerry defender ends up with it. This one here, ball into the corner, Jason Foley, the full back, attack, aggression, wins the ball, and everyone's on the front foot. So it was just something, I suppose, it gave them a foothold in the game because they were aggression in everything that they did. And defensively, they looked like, if we're to use this as sort of a looking glass into the future and what they're going to do in the championship, it's definitely going to be man-on-man in terms of defence.
Okay, well, if we flip it over then and you look at them from an offensive point of view, like you were saying that, I mean, as a defender, the last thing you want to see is acres of space in front of you where the ball can be played. You were impressed at Kerry's use of the space.
Yeah, and Annie, you were talking about this as a defender yourself. The one thing you hate is that pocket of space in front of your forwards. Man, I think this is actually, Kerry were very, very slick in terms of the use of space in front of the full forward. And look, they're playing with a 2-man full forward line as well, and it's head-up football. So Kerry broke to the middle third of the park, and then it was a soft kick pass into space, always to the advantage of the Kerry forward with the Mayo back on the defender. So this is something that they haven't just fallen over. This has been worked on in training. Again, a pocket of space. This one's into David Clifford. You know, he didn't get an awful lot of game time, but 20 minutes and there's your score. And the third one of the three, I think, for me is really interesting because again, the ball is into the corner, and it's like the Kerry forwards are going away from the goal, but just watch the runners off them. And this is crucial. It's not about swivelling and taking your shot, a la what we saw with Bernard Brogan last week. This one is as it ends up in the corner, pocket of space.
So these are played in specifically.
They're played in, absolutely. And it comes out. This one arrives like Sean O'Shea off the shoulder, turns aside, and a great score.
Not a coincidence that they're getting 10 points from playing the opening half when they're setting up like this.
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, it was just a little pocket of space. Now from this one, Anna, if you just watch the angles of running, the ball is moving through the hands of the rate of knots. There's runners coming from everywhere. Paul Murphy scored a game from wing back, and you can see
coming off the shoulder is very hard, though, isn't it?
You said it. Look, that was in total contrast to what Mayo did all night. Mayo were very, very laboured. They were hanging onto the ball, taking the ball into the tackle, and they played the second half. For 20 minutes of the second half, they had 2 extra bodies, and they only kicked 1 score. And Kerry all day had Michael Geeney as an outlet who played it phenomenally up front.
And Mayo don't have a great track record in Castlebar either over the last while.
The little caveat is it's still early in the season.
Yeah, that's true. And of course, we had another big game which Air Sport covered on Saturday night where the Dubs had a showdown with Tyrone in Healy Park.
It's a great start for Tyrone. We were wondering if there was going to be a response after the events of last week in Tuam. Well, there's the answer.
Both teams, both Tyrone and Dublin, would have learned a lot from last weekend, and obviously Tyrone now need to get 2 points on the board, and they'll be all going out for that.
Finton lobbing this one dangerously and round the house. Possibilities here, and it's finished to the back of the net.
Jim Gavin won't be happy with that there. He should have had more sense knowing he's on a yellow card.
All of a sudden now, Dublin have put some daylight between themselves and the Ulster champions. And there's possibilities here for them now at the end of the move, and Truxton has to make the save.
The boys played very good controlled football throughout the game.
There's an open goal in front here for Dublin, and that surely is it.
There's plenty of players vying for places, but there's a great team ethos, and that's the biggest thing. And you know, we'll wash up tonight's game and then look forward to Donegal.
It was a promising performance, but you know, obviously if we had just took our chances in the second half, I believe maybe we could have took something from the game.
Aaron Kiernan joins us now on the line. He was commentating on the Tyrone Dublin match on Saturday night in Omagh. Aaron, it seems Tyrone gave Dublin a test of sorts, in particular in the first half, but again, Dublin shifted up through the gears in the second half and ground out a win. Would that be a fair assessment of that game?
It would be, yeah. I have to say it was a very enjoyable game. Tyrone have set up differently, or at least they did the other night, and you could see that there from the outset on Saturday night. They predominantly played with a 2-man inside forward line. I know last year it seemed to be always Mark Bradley in his own, but they were full of intent in getting the ball from once they broke and got inside the Dublin half. All they were looking for was long diagonal foot passes into their full forward line where Lee Brennan and Conor McCalliskey were playing. And I have to say, the two boys, from my vantage point where I could see them, were linking up really well off the ball, creating a bit of space for each other. but working together, and that one man was coming on the loop and they were getting their shots off, and if neither of them get their shots off, they had the runner still coming through. So they definitely made Dublin think, but the scores dried up in the second half. Tyrone's shot selection would have a bit to play with it, but I would have to give full credit to Dublin. They've seen the danger. Now, whether management pointed it out or players realised it themselves, but in the second half what was very noticeable was whenever wing the ball was coming up, on the opposite side where they would have been looking to drop the diagonal foot pass in, the Dublin defender dropped off his man 5 or 10 yards to sweep across the full back line, and time after time they cut out the long ball inside. While it was bad shot selection and poor execution from Tyrone, I think a lot of it was down to Dublin and their smarts of how they could suss something out by themselves, and I think that was a huge positive for me. Again, it was just another example of what makes them the team that they are.
Aaron, on Saturday night, the Air Sports cameras are in Croke Park for Dublin Donegal. On paper, it looks like a difficult one for Donegal, but they put in 2 strong enough performances against Kerry and Galway. How do you see this one going?
Yeah, I don't think there'll be a whole pile in this one again. We've seen a change in style from Donegal, particularly with Paddy McBrady playing as an inside target man, and the scores, 10 scores, 10 scores first game, 9 scores last week. He's carried on his club form from last year with Kilcar. So I see them definitely, even though they've lost 2 games, I think they've a huge amount of positives. And it would be interesting to see what happens this weekend, because I know all the talk in early January from the Donegal camp up here was that they were going to hold back the likes of Michael Murphy, Neil McGee and those guys until the 3rd or 4th league game. If they were to filter back in this week, given the quality of football that they have played, how unlucky they've been, they'll add huge presence and huge belief into this Donegal squad, which will make life that wee bit more difficult for Dublin. I still would obviously fancy Dublin to have enough to come through, but I'm hoping that we'll carry on the form of recent weeks and we'll have yet another great game to look forward to Saturday night.
That's great, Aaron. Thanks for joining us on the line there. So, lads, you thought you were finished, but you're not.
You told us.
You saw how it works. The 30-second challenge.
Here we come.
Yes or no only, and when I give the shout, we're on. So, go, lads.
Is it a hurler?
Yes.
Is he what? Leinster?
No. Anna, come on.
No,
you
he's not,
Is he
no.
Munster?
Yes.
Is he from Cork?
Yes.
Is he back?
No.
Forward.
Yes. Forward.
Is he currently playing?
No.
No.
Joe Dean?
No.
Sean, no, let me see here now.
Ben O'Connor?
Get it. Well done.
Because I went,
Well done.
I was like, I don't think I can say that because he technically is still playing. Was like with Newtown, but oh God, no, he means Cork.
I saw the back.
Nice.
I saw the back of his jersey enough times run that.
I was like, if I get a question wrong here when he's only over the road from me, I get shot.
Brilliant player.
Yeah. 3 All-Ireland medals, yeah. And I'm captain as well, yeah.
Come on, bad, was it?
Yeah.
Very impressed.
And I went read it right.
You see Mike's eyes, he's just like, all right, I'm ready.
I'm finished with questions. Lads, thanks a million. Now that's it for another episode of the Allianz League Reloaded. Thank you to Michael and Ken for their insight into the hurling action.
And thank you at home for watching. So from Senan and from myself, goodbye till next week.
Supporting all 32 counties, Allianz.